Thanks for joining us on To the Point with Alex Bell. I'm Becca Habiger in for Alex. Is the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office following state law when it comes to releasing body camera video from a critical incident? That's the question we're tackling for tonight's main point. The family of a man who died in the custody of the Sheriff's Office says they want more body camera video released, and they believe state law backs them up. We're talking about 48-year-old Sherrano Stingley. He died in the hospital days after an arrest back in December by Sacramento County Sheriff's deputies left him unconscious. The Sheriff's Office says they were responding to a report of a man under someone's truck in a Sacramento County neighborhood. His family says he was having mental health crisis and was searching for his daughter's home in the same neighborhood. The only body cam video released by the Sheriff's Office is just from one deputy's perspective. It shows Stingley initially complied with deputies, but then there was a struggle. By the fourth minute, Stingley appeared to pass out. Just yesterday, Stingley's family filed a federal civil rights complaint, launching a lawsuit against the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office and Sacramento County. They say, the family, that they want body camera video released from all of the deputies on scene that early morning of December 6th. And a warning, this story has excerpts of some body camera video that may be difficult to watch.
Every time I go back and watch it, I find new stuff.
That's Diamond Stingley, the daughter of Sherrano Stingley. She says she wants the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office to release all the body camera video of the arrest that led to her father's death, saying it will paint a fuller picture of what happened.
At that moment in time, they were doing a lot to him. He just wanted to get home. So it's very important to know what state he was in. He was mentally ill.
The family and their attorney say this arrest should trigger a state law called Assembly Bill 748, passed in 2018 and in effect the following July. It says that, barring certain conditions, law enforcement agencies may only withhold body camera video for 45 days in something called a critical incident. That's a key phrase. It's when an officer shoots at someone or uses force that seriously injures or kills someone. In previous reporting, the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office has told us AB 748 doesn't apply here. They're calling Stingley's case an in-custody death and claim it therefore does not qualify as a critical incident. The Sheriff's Office is not commenting on the Stingley case now that the family has filed a lawsuit, but here's a spokesperson talking to ABC 10's Devin Truby back in late January ahead of the 45-day period outlined in AB 748.
Do you anticipate releasing any more?
If it were deemed a critical incident as defined by the law, yes, but it's not. It's being ruled as an in-custody death.
So what are we looking at for a timeline?
Well, right now, we've still got to wait for the coroner's report to come out. If the coroner's report dictates some other circumstance, we'll obviously adjust that way. But as of right now, that's where we are.
As of this week, the coroner's office says the cause and manner of Stingley's death are still pending. We wanted to get some clarity, so I went to talk with Assemblymember Phil Ting, the author of this legislation.
It was the first piece of legislation to really define when body camera footage should be released.
He says overall, he thinks his bill is improving transparency and accountability within law enforcement.
In the spirit of the law, would you ideally like to see departments releasing as much as possible, if not all of the body camera video?
Yeah, absolutely, right? Because that would lead to a question. If there are 5 officers on the scene and you only release one camera footage, people would just naturally think, okay, well, what do the other 4 cameras, show?
I asked him specifically about the Stingley case.
I don't know that much about the Stingley case, so it's sort of really hard for me to say. I think all I would say is anytime there is a death and officers were around it, whether they were at fault or not, I think it really behooves the department to get that information out, or that footage out, as soon as possible. Because there's always going to be a question as to whether officers were involved, or how are they involved, or if they were involved. I think it's absolutely critical, especially anytime there's a fatality. It's very important to release that footage as soon as possible.
Now, complicating this case is that Stingley's arrest and death happened under a previous administration, then Sheriff Scott Jones, who is included in the Stingley family's lawsuit against the county. Now, the decision to turn over more body camera video rests with the new sheriff and former Assembly member Jim Cooper. We looked up how he voted on AB 748 back in 2018. He voted against it. We asked him to provide some context as to his vote and are waiting to hear back. We'll keep you updated. Now, debate over Sacramento's Aggie Square project continues. Neighbors from the Oak Park, Elmhurst, and Tahoe Park communities got together for an update on the project last night. It will expand the university's presence in Sacramento. But some neighbors are worried about how it will affect housing, specifically the price of it. Our Alicia Machado has more on the results of a housing survey and what community members have to say.
A new future for Oak Park in the works as Aggie Square moves further along in the process. Construction has already begun on the $1.1 billion project set to expand UC Davis's Sacramento campus.
Aggie Square is a huge opportunity for local jobs. We already see it with the construction.
The idea started in spring 2018, and Aggie Square broke ground about a year ago. It's anticipated to open in about 2 years and will include a teaching and training center and lab. Plans are also in the works for new housing along Stockton Boulevard, including student, senior, and mixed-income housing. But not everyone is on board with the plan.
I'm seeing all the folks, but I don't see where we benefit.
Some residents bringing their concerns to project representatives at a meeting at Oak Park Community Center Thursday night. It was set up to tell residents about housing programs for folks living near the site and answer questions. Locals' concerns: gentrification, parking, code enforcement, and existing homeowners getting priced out.
I think the Oak Park neighborhood has been taken advantage of by the city.
W. Ray White tells me he's been living in Oak Park since the 60s and came to community meetings for 10 years when there were previous plans to redevelop the area.
Everything that we used to do is being undercut by Aggie Square. So they make all these promises about jobs that's going to come to the area, and it may happen. I don't know, but as of right now, I don't see it.
ABC 10 asked project representatives what's being done to ensure folks aren't priced out of the area as this expansion and development becomes a reality. Sacramento's economic investment manager says the city will do what they can to make sure residents can stay there.
We want to support the residents that are here. So we're creating some pilot programs for home repair, first-time homebuyers assistance, homeless prevention to make sure we can continue to build a community based upon the residents that are here.
Programs outlined to the community at Thursday's meeting. The partnerships with Habitat for Humanity, Salvation Army, and other agencies will total more than $2 million in assistance for Oak Park.
I see this as a positive change, and I'm rightfully surprised because in the beginning it was not all right. But they're trying to pull people back. This is your neighborhood. We lost you. We want to bring you back.
We also brought the question to you on social media. What are your thoughts on the Aggie Square development? One viewer said, real gentrification. I grew up in that area. UC Davis has taken more property from that neighborhood since the 90s. It should be a no vote, saying UC Davis hasn't done anything for the community. No jobs, housing, nothing. And another viewer wrote in saying, don't expand parking, do expand the UCD medical campus. Gentrification is just a boogeyman phrase people use to stop progress on projects they don't like. And we want to hear from you. Do you have any concerns about the Aggie Square development, or are you totally in favor? You can text us at 916-321-3310 or send an email to thepoint@abc10.com. The death toll continues to rise in Turkey and Syria after a series of powerful earthquakes. After the break, how the local Syrian community is helping. More than 23,000 people have now died in Turkey and Syria. That's more than the number of people who died in Japan's Fukushima disaster in 2011. Some survivors are still being found, but today the volunteer organization Syria Civil Defense said they have turned from search and rescue operations to search and recovery. White House spokesperson John Kirby said today the U.S. is ramping up assistance to Turkey and Syria. As the death toll continues to rise, the local Syrian community is finding ways to help those impacted by this disaster. The Syrian American Medical Society was outside this Folsom mosque today to raise awareness. Dr. Mohammed Jabba Kabesh says the relief efforts in Syria are slowed by sanctions and war's divisions.
We wanted to reach out to faith communities, spread awareness, tell people about what's happening in southern Turkey and northern Syria, give them opportunities to help. This places a duty on me and on others to act on our convictions now that we have the freedom, we have the means that many people in other parts of the world may not have.
The Turkish American Association is also raising funds and collecting donated items to send back to Turkey. And tonight, our Devin Truby is speaking with Sacramento Metro Fire about the specialized help Californians are offering in the rescue missions abroad. That's at 11 p.m. on Late News Tonight. We'll be right back. Here are some other stories people are talking about today. 5 people are dead after a single car crash turned into a carjacking. They were ejected from a car after it crashed near the Freeport Bridge outside of Sacramento. The driver then stole a car and led police on a chase, which ended in another crash. Police arrested the driver in Elk Grove. He's being charged on suspicion of gross vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated. We now know the identity of 4 of the 5 victims, and we have more information on abc10.com. Elk Grove community members are worried about the possibility of a Barnes & Noble opening near a locally owned business, A Seat at the Table Books. They don't want the small business to get forced out because of big box competition. The company responsible for leasing spaces at the potential Barnes & Noble location says they do not have a lease signed with the company at this time. When asked if they're working with Barnes & Noble, they said no comment. And in the Tahoe area, don't feed the bears, of course, but hey, feel free to feed the birds. New research confirms that skiers who like to feed the tiny mountain chickadees and black-capped birds aren't in the wrong. A wildlife spokesperson said worries about feeding wild birds is based on speculation, not scientific data. All right, it's Friday, time to hit the back roads. The Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta is known for many things. It's home to robust agriculture and is the hub of California's water supply. But you know what we don't talk about? It has its own ferry system. John Bartel's taking us on a trip through the islands of the Delta.
The Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta. This massive wetland covers 5 counties and separates Sacramento from San Francisco. During California's gold rush era, boats were the only way to travel through the Delta. But today, cars can drive all over the Delta thanks to roads, bridges, and 2 very unique ferry boats.
This place is like 30 miles from Sacramento, and a lot of people in Sacramento have no clue that this is even out here.
This place that William Just is talking about is Ryer Island, and if he or his neighbors want to get off the island, the fastest way is to catch a ride on the JMAC or the Real McCoy 2, otherwise known as the Delta Ferry System.
If I had to go to Rio Vista and both boats were closed, Rio Vista is about 8 miles that way, it's about 50 miles to get around.
The Delta Ferry System is not just for residents of Ryer Island. Real McCoy 2 and the JMAC ferries are a part of State Route 84 and State Route 220, and they're the only state-owned ferry system in California.
It's a floating piece of highway. I mean, that's pretty much an easy way of saying it.
Phil Pizzaglia is a bridge operator for Caltrans, but he's also a history buff on the Delta.
This is the JMAC ferry. There's been a ferry here since the 1800s.
The JMAC is probably the most unique ferry in California because it's a cable-drawn ferry.
Right now we're taking off from the Ryer Island side and we're going over to the Grand Island side. Right back here you see a red cable coming out of the water and you'll see the boat basically being pulled across.
The JMAC ferry ride takes just minutes to cross Steamboat Slough, which is an active shipping channel. And the best part is,
it doesn't cost you a darn thing. And that's what people always ask. They assume that it's going to cost money to go across the ferry. So they're quite shocked when they find out that it's a free ride.
Free from the tether of a cable is the Real McCoy 2. This 88-foot-long ferry is an extension of Highway 84, taking passengers from Ryer Island to Rio Vista.
You pretty much take all your boating knowledge and throw it out the window when you come to this boat. It's totally different than any conventional boat.
Captain Bruce Kitchens has been ferrying passengers across Cache Slough since 2004, and that unconventionality of the Real McCoy 2 that he's talking about is the complex propeller system called the Thrustmaster.
diesel engine runs the hydraulic pump, which runs everything else on the boat.
Captain Bruce says the thrustmaster allows the boat to rotate in 360 degrees very quickly, and that's because the propeller is not at the back of the boat, but in the middle. Just like the JMAC cable ferry, the Real McCoy 2 is also free. It does, however, require a lot more maintenance. The state actually put a schedule on the Real McCoy 2 to limit its operation and prevent breakdowns.
Why the heck don't you just put a bridge here?
Yeah, I don't know. It's job security for me, but.
Well, according to Phil, the reason is a little more complicated than just job security. You see, it all comes down to traffic numbers.
It wouldn't be financially relevant to build a bridge out here when you have a ferry, because you think about the amount of traffic that goes, it's not a large amount, but it's still, you have to get out here.
On the Delta Ferry System, I'm John Bartel. Hope to see you on the back roads.
And you can find all of John's adventures on abc10.com/backroads, or just text the word backroads to 916-321-3310. We'll send you a map to help you plan your next road trip. Speaking of road trips, Carly, what can folks going on road trips this weekend be expecting in terms of the weather?
Yeah, depending on where you're going, we are looking at great conditions in the valley, but if you have plans for the Sierra, a little bit of a different story. We are looking at snow flurries headed our way. Let's take a look at our weather headlines now. What we are seeing here is that the storm system arriving right now along the coastline is bringing in some stronger winds, Sierra snow, and weak rain. I say weak because that system is not a strong one and it doesn't contain a lot of moisture. The strong winds are moving through as we start seeing them late tonight into tomorrow morning, but we're actually looking at some stronger winds arriving Sunday night into Monday. So that's another one to look out for. Low pressure system here. You can see it off the coastline there as it moves past Eureka right now, bringing in some of that rain from Medford, Oregon, all the way through Redding, and now starting to approach areas along I-5 further south, just north of Sacramento. Very spotty rain. Like I mentioned, it's coming in from the north, not containing a lot of moisture. Now, as we take a look, we are seeing some strong winds. A wind advisory is in effect until 10 p.m. for most of the San Joaquin Valley. South of Modesto, we'll still see just a bit of these stronger winds here, about 35-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and for the valley, about 15 to 25-mile-per-hour winds, not lasting too long, like I mentioned, only a couple more hours or so. As we continue on into your Saturday, we'll get a little bit of a breeze pickup here by lunchtime, but this isn't very impactful. You can see 10-mile-per-hour winds. And then finally, Sunday night, we start to see the beginning and the start at 3 p.m. of some of the stronger winds starting from the north through the coastal range and the high Sierra. That'll continue through the overnight hours Sunday night into Monday. We can see about 15 to 25-mile-per-hour winds. Looking at 8:30 p.m., some spotty areas near Yuba City. Otherwise, again, missing most of the valley. It's not really till 4:30 a.m. on Saturday we may get some spotty rain. Otherwise, Sierra snow, looks like we're only getting a few inches at that, 2 to maybe 6 inches. And that's if we see it really piling up there. The 10-day forecast, mid-60s for your Super Bowl weekend, 55 degrees Valentine's Day, those mid-50s for the rest of the week.
All throughout Black History Month, we are recognizing our Black community and history and culture in Sacramento. We want to introduce you to one woman who many people know is a community champion for her involvement in various events. Let's meet Michelle Martin-Neal.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Michelle Martin-Neal. I'm a Sacramento native. I was born and raised here, and I love Sacramento. I love people. I love encouraging people and like getting the word out. My parents is the reason why I'm successful. I'm saying successful as far as I'm optimistic. I'm a grandmother. I have a lovely daughter. I have 4 grandchildren, and I'm blessed. I count my blessings each and every day. My mother's 88 years old, and she's my mentor, and she keeps me on the right path. And I can make it. Black people, we're powerful. We love each other. We have all different skin tones, and it's just a blessing to be Black.
We're putting the spotlight on the Black community members across Sacramento all month long as they share about their culture and their heritage. And before we go, I want to give a special happy birthday shout out to Lulu the Elephant, who turned 57 today. Lulu lives at Paws Sanctuary in San Andreas, that's outside of Valley Springs in Calaveras County. The folks at Paws say she is now the oldest African elephant in the United States. When she was 2 years old, she was captured in Swaziland and moved to San Francisco and has been living at Paws since 2005.
We had all the volunteers who've been with Paws for upwards of 20 years come out and celebrate Lulu. And one of our volunteers made her an incredible birthday cake out of bran and all sorts of veggies. So she got to enjoy her birthday cake and be amongst people who love and care about her.
What a birthday cake. Well, if you want to meet Lulu, the sanctuary says they sometimes host elephant events. You can find the sanctuary on Instagram at PawsArc2000. Have a great weekend to you and Lulu.
Hey, it's Alex. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I really love hearing from everyone, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. Reach out to me on Facebook at AlexBellTV, or you can email me at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send me a text message at 916-321-3310.